Hello, genealogist. It's Craig again. And today I'd like to talk to you about another gazetteer. This one's one of my favorite ones, actually, only it's a gazetteer from New York. I love how the light shines off the shiny plastic. Anyway, this is French's Gazetteer of the state of New York. Definitely one of my favorite gazetteers. So, what is a gazetteer? It's a geographical dictionary that contains the names and descriptions of places, usually in alphabetical order, and this one is. And I think that having a gazetteer is an excellent way to orient yourself into a time and a place. Your ancestors were born, they lived, and they died somewhere. And they were affected by their environment. And gazetteers are probably one of the easiest ways to determine what that environment was. What was the population of the county like? What was the major industry in the area? Was everybody a farmer? Did everybody work in a textile mill? So, location definitely influences the lives of our ancestors, just like location influences your life today. There could be educational opportunities located in the town or not. How did the majority of the people earn their living? Were your people special, or were they just like everybody else? What were the choices for who you might marry? How far did you have to go to find a wife or a husband? Or were there sufficient churches around that had sufficient people in them for you to be able to marry locally instead of having to leave town to find somebody? And then there's the issue of, okay, they left here. Why would they leave? Why would they go somewhere else? Was it just a function of better opportunity? Or was there some political or economic or social condition that meant that they had to move on? So, what also plays into things when you're dealing with this is that this geography that you're learning about will influence where they move to. Break out the Burpee Seed Catalog. Somebody in New York is not going to move to Alabama normally unless they're a merchant. If they're a farmer, they won't know how to farm. Transportation. How do you get from New York to Wisconsin? Do you go the Erie Canal to the lakes, to the Ohio River? If you want to get from New York to Cincinnati, how do you get there? So there's the issue of what are the in and out migration routes. And pretty much you'll also be able to figure out why they settled in a specific place in the county based on what you can learn from a gazetteer. Now, I think gazetteers are important because you can't always go and visit an area to get a feel for it, much as I would like to. And you can contact local repositories, but they probably won't really understand what your focus is and what you're trying to do. So a gazetteer's role is actually to provide you additional clues in your research. So let's talk about French's for a little bit. So French's was published by a team, actually, but headed up by J.H. French. And it was done in 1960. And what they did was they went around, surveyors, agents, various representatives of French, went around the state and collected information on every county, every city, every town, every village. They searched the records in those places, and they did not rely on what I'll call single records. I hate relying on single records because you never know whether they're lying to you or not. And they cautioned against hearsay. So what they ended up with was a pretty valuable work. They examined records in the state library, and they also examined the documentary history and state geology of New York. Not that we really care about geology. It was a rather expensive venture, but what they were successful in doing was covering things at the state level and at the county level. So at the state level, there's information in the front of the Gazetteer that deals with topography and geology, state government, lands, canals and railroads, corporations, agriculture, commerce, schools, religious societies, literary societies, benevolent societies, population, professional folk, and occupations. So it gives you a sense of what is actually happening in the state of New York in 1860. Now, many things may not be important to you, but knowing where the canals are and the railroads are is pretty useful if you've got somebody who works in a canal or a railroad. Knowing what kinds of crops are going to be grown is also important, and to be able to differentiate between different kinds of people sometimes. What schools are available, those kind of things. All this kind of stuff is going to help you in your research. But what is more important probably to your research is the county information. County formation is something that a lot of people forget about. You want to know when a county was formed and from what other county that county, who's the parent county? What year was it created and what was it created from? And then you want to learn that information about the county that it was created from. What's helpful in this Gazetteer is it provides you with distance from Albany, so that gives you some idea about how far it is away from the capital. It provides you a history of the county, political information about the county, and information on cities, towns, villages, and hamlets. So it goes down to a pretty low level. What's kind of neat is that it provides you with the first birth, the first marriage, the first death, the first school, the first church, the first mill, and the first factory in the county. It's always nice to know your ancestor was the first at something. Most of mine were second. So I love this book. I have a lot of them. Those people that have bought it from me in the past have been excited that I have it. I always enjoy somebody that's excited that I have a book in print. And it doesn't happen very often because when you have 10,000 books in print, you can't keep track of all of them anyway. But this is one I keep track of. So just to make it available to you and make it exciting for you, if you use the discount code FrenchNY at heritagebooks.com, you will get a 20% discount on this book. I will say to you that we have reprinted it, but are holding off because the reprint has a price increase that is significant. But as we were reprinting it, we found a case of these in our warehouse. So we have a whole case at the old price. So you'll be getting a 20% discount off the old price versus a 20% discount off the new price. So you better take advantage of this now. Well, I'm not telling you what you better do, but my advice is that if you were going to buy the Gazetteer of the State of New York by J.H. French, this would be the time to do it. So this is Just Genealogy, and it's Craig again. And I'm converting people doing genealogy into genealogists day by day. Thank you very much for subscribing. Don't forget to hit that bell to notify you. We actually come out with something every day at noon. I'm looking forward to your providing comments that tell me what you would like me to do. We have several things that have been added to the list that I'm working on, and we're just moving down the road. I appreciate you all. Thank you very much.